Howdy-ho, you handsome hunk. Grab a snack and gain some chunk. If your day is great or really sunk, we hope to help you shake the funk. So if you're good to hear some junk, buckle up, it's the Junk Monk Podcast. Hello and welcome to the Junk Monk Podcast. I'm your host, Kandyce Sloan, who you know from Instagram at Hardens and Hardhats.
And I'm Noah, your co-host, you know from Right Now.
If this is your first time listening, let us fill you in. We are watching and reviewing every episode of the USA hit TV show Monk right here each week.
And we're going to do so while eating a little bit of junk. So, me and Kandyce actually have the same junk food today.
Yes. I was excited. We're trying to come in a little bit strong here at the end of the pod with our junk food because, you know, that's, besides Monk, that's the other premise. That's our other storyline. We've got Trudy, we've got the badge, you know, we've got junk and Monk. So that's our B storyline. Also, you must know, oh wait, did we even say what we had?
Oh, we didn't. So today
we built that up really big.
Today we have chia seed pudding. And do you want to tell them what's in it?
Okay, so it's very simple. I actually discovered the recipe whenever I started doing paleo, and I've since grown very fond of it. You put 2 tablespoons of chia seeds, 1/4 cup of almond milk. You let that sit for like 5 minutes because those little chia seeds absorb the milk, so it makes them like poofy and not like little crunchies. And then once that's done, you take it like out of the fridge, stir it around, and then you put fresh fruit. So we put strawberries usually because that's what we have. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we put banana. That one time, that banana was really good.
Yeah, the banana was amazing.
And then I would put almond butter in it normally because that's paleo. Peanut butter is not, but today we are using peanut butter because our almond butter might have been bad. So we used peanut butter, and I haven't tasted mine yet. So.
I did. I pretty much ate it like twice, and I just keep adding more stuff into it.
Oh my, I knew you were going to do that. Dang it. Okay, well, I'll be cool, and I'll save mine for junk time then. It's probably going to be warm-ish by then, but
gross.
I'll be fine. It'll still be good. Also, you must know, I've seen every episode of Monk. I'm a huge fan, started watching in 2007, and for the most part watched it as it aired.
I have seen seasons 1 and 2, and a few scattered here and there in season 3.
So, if you're ready to start the show, Toby, take it away.
Here's what happened.
Okay, we're starting towards the end of our series. This is kind of weird.
Yeah.
Our next time that you'll hear us is the finale, so I just had to throw that in there because we're so close, and I felt it when I was reading the first one. I was like, dang, I'm only going to do this a couple more times. Mm-hmm. So,
this is Mr. Monk and the Badge, Season 8, Episode 14. Here's what happened. In the opening scene, we see the captain call Adrian into his office with some important news. A meeting between the review board and the commissioner has been had, and they decided to reinstate former detective Adrian Monk and give him his badge back. Over the moon, Adrian accepts and prepares for his first day on the job. His first task is a briefing on the Pickaxe Killer, a serial killer who had been terrorizing San Francisco, for which there is now a $500,000 reward for his capture. However, instead of Monk being out in the field, is manning phones on the tip line. While Monk is receiving his first tip, the headquarters is in an uproar as the Pickaxe Killer has just been arrested and the case has been solved. It seems that a man named Mikhail Almanov was the tipster who claims he saw a pickaxe in the back of the suspect's car and called in his plates to the hotline. However, Monk quickly has doubts in the story since he doesn't believe that Almanov could have possibly seen a pickaxe, let alone a license plate, from the 6th story of a building as he claimed. Then, when suddenly one of Monk's colleagues, Officer DeMarco, is found murdered, he has major doubts on his innocence based on how he was killed. However, he must have ironclad evidence that DeMarco was dirty since he is now a brother in blue. His evidence finally comes when he goes through DeMarco's personal effects. He sees that officer's ticket book has a license plate number imprinted, the same number that led to the capture of the Pickaxe Killer. It turns out that Officer DeMarco had solved the serial killer case all by himself. However, he wanted the reward, so he hired Almanov to call in the tip so they could split the money. Of course, Almanov got greedy and killed DeMarco for a share. He even tries to murder Monk when he goes to confront him, causing Monk to ultimately decide his badge isn't what he thought it would be. He quits on the spot and is now former Detective Monk.
All right. That was Mr. Monk and the Badge, and my mouth is full of peanut butter because I had absolutely no self-control. If I was reading that, I wouldn't have dug in, but it was speaking to me. And now I can't eat it because it is so peanut buttery.
I know. I ate, like, the entire thing, and then I put, like, a bunch of peanut butter, and now it's pretty much just peanut butter, like a big cup of peanut butter. And so my mouth is going to be like, but you know what? Anyways, Kandyce, what did you like about this episode?
Okay, I have Mr. Monk and the badge. Of course, that's the title of the episode, but that's what this whole show is about. Mm-hmm. The very first scene, we see the captain is calling Monk into his office, and of course, Monk immediately jumps to it being bad news. Mm-hmm. They kind of frame it that way, but it's like because they want to surprise him, and he's like, oh my god, you're firing me, I just know it. And then Natalie comes to his defense, and it's like, are you kidding me? This detective's the best detective. You should be ashamed of yourself. Shame on both of you. And she walks out, and I was like, oh, Natalie's defending Monk, even though she doesn't know what the heck's going on. And then, of course, they walk into the hallway, and he's like, he says he doesn't need you anymore as a consultant because he wants to give your badge back. Boom! And he hands him the box. Well, I guess he doesn't say the badge, right? Yeah. He just hands him the box. He wants to give you this. And then he opens it, and then they play the beautiful, sad music. And Monk takes his badge, and he starts to tear up, and he's like, is this for real?
Aww.
And then he sees everybody in the window, like everyone in the headquarters is looking out the windows and is watching him. So then you know that it is real because they're all like, because they all, that's the cool thing about this episode. And one of the things is that, I didn't write this down, was that they all know Monk.
Yeah.
Even when the guys are in the bar later, they're like, oh, how's Natalie? And it's very genuine because she is his girl Friday. Like, yeah. Everyone knows they're always together. Everyone knows his deal, his story. So the fact that they kind of were able to, like, put that in a really, like, genuine way, like, everyone's watching and everyone would actually be excited for him because they know Monk.
Yeah.
So, more than him being a famous detective, he actually has been their colleague for the past 12 years. So, but yeah, Monk got his badge back. That's my first like.
I'm guessing that I have the same like as you, but I was in a flurry of just joy, so I misspelled pretty much everything. Oh my gosh, oh my god, oh my god. It better be his badge. That's what I think it says.
What, the box?
Yeah, in the box.
Yeah.
It better be his badge. I assumed it was his badge because it's called Mr. Monk and the Badge, but, which, spoiler alert. Anyways, but, you know.
Yeah.
I was happy. That's proof, I guess.
What on earth else could they have called this episode, though?
Mr. Monk
gets reinstated.
Mr. Monk and the window guy.
The window washer.
Mr. Monk and
the dirty cop.
The cat lady. Mr. Monk and the dirty cop. No, because then that's like bad girlfriend.
That's true. However, I didn't write this down either. Yeah, I didn't know which cop was dirty.
Because I didn't know any cops were dirty.
Well, okay, so I remembered. That's not true. I didn't really remember anything, honestly.
Oh, okay.
I did not. Toby was different. As soon as he saw DeMarco, like, ask for Monk's, like, tissue or whatever, he goes, oh, I remember that guy. He didn't say it out loud. He just thought it. Uh-huh. Like, oh, I remember that guy. He's the guy. And I was like, whoa. I did not remember that. How on earth did you remember that? And then I thought I got the vibes from his new, like, captain or whatever. Mm. The guy that was mean to him. The one that was, like, Stoudemire 1.0 from, like, season 1. Yeah. That's who I thought was the guy, or something to do with it. Like, I thought that they were covering up DeMarco's, like, part in it because they were being, the way that they were acting, like, mean towards him. I thought that they were trying to say, like, you can't accuse him because they had something to do with it.
Yeah.
So, if they had said Mr. Monk and the dirty cop, I would have not been able to figure out which cop was dirty. If that makes sense. However, there's a book called that, Mr. Monk and the Dirty Cop, which I've read, but
then Mr. Monk and
that's what else this episode's about, though. I mean, that's what the crime is about. His adventure is his badge, and then the crime is about a dirty cop. What else is the crime about? The reward? No, Mr. Monk and the Big Reward.
Mr. Monk.
Basically, they ran out of titles.
Yeah.
Because we're towards the end. No, but I do like it. I don't like spoilers ever, but I do when it's named after, like, something storyline wise, at least towards the end. Like the bad girlfriend, there was no reason to name it that. Like,
Yeah.
we didn't need to know that Linda Fusco was the bad guy when we started the episode. That was stupid. But this one was a little different. Like, we're coming towards the end. You want to know what happens with his badge. It's called Mr. Monk and the Badge. Not much you can do about it. So, okay, my next like is Monk and Natalie miss each other. And they say goodbye.
Oh,
That was so sad.
Monk's gonna miss Natalie. Frowny face.
Did you have any of that?
Yeah, I mean, it was just, that was a really sad scene whenever he was like, wait a minute, I'm gonna miss you. And I didn't even think about it. I thought she was gonna, like, I don't know, keep being his assistant, make lunch for him, make dinner for him. But no, he's all grown up now. He's going to work. He's a big man.
Well, that was the really sweet and also, like, funny part. It was a little funny. Because they realize, like, they're both so excited. Like, they are giddy. And they're like, oh, do you have your lunch? Oh, do you have your gun? Oh, do you have your badge? Oh. And then, like, Monk takes his gun out, and he's like, they're like, oh, we're just so excited. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so proud of you. And then he's like, here's your gun. And then he pulls out, like, the bullets, or he, like, looks in the chamber or whatever. And then he's like, oh, polish bullets. You polish the bullets, I think, right? She polished them. And he's like, yeah. She says, yeah, you don't want to shoot anybody with a dirty bullet. And he's like, yeah, they might get an infection. And she's like, oh, that's so funny. I don't know what
Monk says we're so funny together.
Yes, we're so funny together. It's so sweet. And then they're so giddy that he walks out the door and then almost forgets, like, wait, so this is goodbye. And she's like, no, it's not goodbye. I have a meeting today, but we'll talk all the time on the phone. Well, what will we talk about? I don't know, just, how we're feeling, what we're doing. I'm like, oh, okay. And then they hug each other for a really long time and say goodbye. It's very sad. Also, another thing that I noticed in this scene at first, I put interesting camera angles. Did you notice this? I don't know if there was 3 or just 2 of them. Maybe just 2. But this first one is when Monk is walking, like, through his house. He's walking, like, from his bedroom through the hallway, through the dining room, and the camera is panned from, like, outside of it.
Really? Like the little thing?
Like, the camera is facing, like, towards, like, through the kitchen to the hallway, and you can see him walking in a straight line. And they pan the camera, because there's obviously no wall there. Because you can see, like, the wall that's in between the kitchen and the dining room. Yeah. And they swivel, like, not swivel, but they, like, what's it called? Like, they put it on a track or whatever. And it goes shh, and pans through there. I was like, oh, that's interesting. Well, they did the same camera work whenever I think he goes to the crazy cat lady. And that's like he's on his first case or whatever. Oh, yeah. They do the same thing, like, through some windshields of, like, cars. And they just scroll and pan through there. I was like, it made me feel like I was watching something different, which I liked, because it made you feel like this isn't just another episode. Like, this is Mr. Monk and the Badge. It's not just Mr. Monk goes to the circus, Mr. Monk and the UFO. Yeah. Like, this is serious. Like, this is about his badge, and he's a cop now, and it felt like a cop show to me. So
that's interesting.
Yeah,
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, there was less funny stuff, I'd say, other than the random cat lady who was in there for some reason. Yeah, I don't know why that was in there. I'm gonna write that down for dislike.
Okay. I even put, unlike Mr. Monk is Underwater, which made me feel like I was watching NCIS, this episode made me feel like I was watching Law and Order, and which I love. Well, SVU. I don't know the other ones, but I love Law and Order SVU. That's why I felt like I was watching, like, Detective Stabler and Benson going up to, like, an apartment or whatever. Whereas, like, Underwater, I was like, I don't really like NCIS. Yeah. So I don't like this. I don't like how this feels, but this one felt different, and that kind of tied into the camera angles. Like, I felt like I was watching Law and Order, which was cool. So this next one is super random, but I said it whenever we had Mr. Monk and Sharona, and it's that Natalie gets her own scene. She gets her own scene and her own storyline.
So weird. It felt like I was watching a Marvel movie. Like high, like skyscraper, like very fancy, like a record, like on the floor, and it's like a different set. Everything's different. Yeah. And it was like, you could see it was CGI, like, of course, but like, but it was weird. Natalie was all by herself and on her new job, and she liked it. And the guy was like, she was like, oh, should I get the... Oh, he said, we're going to dinner. And she was like, oh, should I call the airline agency? And he's like, nah, we'll just take my plane. And she was like, okay.
She's like, yes, that would be better. We can take your plane. That sounds perfect. And then he says like, oh, we're having dinner. Or have you listened to the new Coldplay album? And she's like,
yeah.
oh, no, not yet. Do I need to or something? Well, yeah, it's pretty important about like who someone's going to ask us at dinner about it or something. And she's like, who are we having dinner with? He's like, Coldplay. And she's like, oh, okay then. Oh, yeah. So Natalie is loving it. And I also love that I'm not sure how fond I am of the fact that she's an assistant, but that obviously is her.
I know, right? Like she was just like, all right, I'm moving on in my life and I'm going to go be an assistant again.
Yeah. That's kind of weird, right?
Yeah.
I think that's kind of weird.
I mean, it was like a really good, like she had a good job, but it was still an assistant job. And, you know, I want Natalie to move up in life.
Yeah. So I did put, I'm glad that she is like such a qualified assistant that she easily got this job.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like she's like working from the bottom of the assistant seat up to you know what I mean? Like
she was already a like glorified assistant.
Yes.
As glorified as an assistant can be.
Exactly. So I'm glad that she was able to get a job very quickly based on her experience of being an assistant so far. So.
I literally just realized from you saying that whole Coldplay thing and me like thinking about it and I was like, wait a minute. Community and Monk aren't that, like, far away. Because I always feel like they're, like, at least, like, 5 years in between. Just because, I don't know, camera difference or whatever. But that is so weird to me. Like, I love that.
Wait, but how far away are they apart?
They're 2 months apart.
Monk
ends, and then there's 2 months. And it ends in October, and Community starts in December of 2009.
No, Monk ends in December 2009.
December 2009. So Community was already on.
No way, really?
It was on September. I don't know where I got October.
Oh.
Community was on in September. 2009. And Monk ends in December 2009.
So they actually overlap?
That's crazy. That is so weird. Community feels like... That's why I like Monk, though. Because it's, like, old. And I feel, like, cultured for watching it. But, like...
Community starts right, like, at the same time.
Oh, my God. That is crazy. I never knew that. I thought it was at least, like, 3 or maybe 5 years in between.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my God.
Well, what's weird is, like, one of my favorite shows is The Office. Mm-hmm. And The Office started in, like, 2004 or 2005. Like, something crazy.
Whoa.
Like, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, March 24th, 2005. The pilot.
Holy crap.
Yeah, so Monk was on for, like, 4-ish years when The Office started, and The Office continued on after that. So it makes it seem, and The Office is so relevant, it makes it feel like The Office was like still on, like still happening, like way up. But it's like literally like 5 years overlap. Isn't that so weird? Monk is not as irrelevant as some people think. All right,
that's crazy.
It's just not. I love it.
Monk could totally be The Office.
Wait, what?
I feel like no, because like. You show people The Office, and they're like, oh my God, this is funny, and they like it. But not enough people, like, see Monk or give it a chance, but it could totally be, like, a popular TV show.
Well, that's the thing, too. That's what's crazy is that it was popular. Like, it was so popular. Weird. It was, like, because whenever, I want to say, I could be making these stats up. I feel like we talked about it, but, like, when Monk came out, it was, like, the most watched cable show, like, ever or something.
Don't they say that for, like every TV show? America's #1 TV show.
No, that's true, but I think that because... but maybe besides, like, HBO, like The Sopranos or something, like, Monk was, like, USA... Like, original cable shows weren't a big thing back then. So, USA, like, took a chance on, like, making a show like Monk, and then it was really, really popular. And that's why they made Psych, because of how popular Monk was, and they were like, oh, another, like, detective show. It kind of... piggybacked off the success of Monk, and then of course there's a bunch of Psych fans out there. So I mean, it was a popular show, and Tony Shalhoub won Emmys for it. So like it was known and it was respected. So it's just not super mainstream. I'm assuming because it was on cable. Whereas like now things that are on cable are super popular because everyone has so much access to it now. But back then it's like. You have to pay for cable, then you have to watch USA, like, it's, you know.
So what you're saying is Monk pioneered the game.
Exactly. And now we're pioneering,
So Monk
except
handed off the torch to community. Am I wrong?
So our next podcast will be about... Coincidence? I think not. No. Okay, I have... Dr. Bell is back.
Oh my god, yes.
I thought they were just going to reference him because...
They were like, oh, Dr. Bell was at the meeting, the court hearing, whatever, for your badge reinstation. But he was actually there. That was cool. You're right.
I liked that. And he helped because he gave good advice. He gave like an Oscar Wilde quote or something about, getting what you want or life's tragedy, something like that. But he gave really good advice.
Yeah. And,
he was telling Adrian, like, are you happy? He's like, what are you saying? I'm not happy? And he's like, no, I didn't say that. I'm just asking if you're happy. And he's like, oh my God, I'm not happy. I'm miserable. I thought I had my dream job. And why do I hate it? And he's like, Adrian, it's fine. It's normal. What did he call it? It's not wish fulfillment. That's dumb.
Yeah, it was
aspirational
thinking or something like
regret?
That. Aspirational.
I thought it started with a T, but it might be regret. It's something like that.
Aspirational, like expectation.
Yeah. So whenever you
think something's better than it actually is.
But but you have like the long-term goal of achieving it, and then whenever you do, it doesn't live up to your expectations.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, we didn't quite learn the phrase because we forgot what it was called, but we learned something, and we learned like that it's normal, it's like, because we can, which I'm sure we'll get into, of course, I'm 100% sure we will, just the fact that, like, really, Monk is... We've been waiting all this time for Monk to get his badge back, and he didn't. And it's like, but Dr. Bell comes in with the psychology of it and is like, look, it's actually normal that people aspire to things and then they don't live up to their expectations, especially when they build it up so much in their head.
Like what he kind of did. I honestly felt like what Monk was feeling whenever I am also kind of upset that he didn't actually use the badge. But I did, like, this episode really made you feel like... the badge wasn't like that great, and it was really just an idea of a badge, because they were like, all right, you're on desk duty. It's like,
what?
Yeah,
I love that you said that. I felt that way the second time I was watching it. The first time I felt pretty disappointed in it. The second time I felt more at peace, like with what I knew was going to happen, and then watching it from the perspective of like, wow, he did really have it good. And watching every single aspect of like, well, that wouldn't have happened if he had his own job. Yeah. Well, that wouldn't have happened if he was a private consultant. And watching it from like, instead of being disappointed he didn't get to use his badge, being like, this makes total sense that like this moment. And I love too that he tried to be happy. We see Monk so many times not really try. Yeah. Like little things make him happy. Like, oh, he saw his favorite movie star. He saw his favorite TV show. Like whatever. And he has, like, temporary blips of happiness, but he tried. Like, Stoudemire's like, we can't hold your hand anymore. We're going to sit you on the phones. We're going to move you to so-and-so's department. And he's like, oh, okay. And he's like, but this is what you want, right? And he's like, absolutely. And he keeps going for it until it just builds up when Dr. Bell asks him about it, which is another thing that's great about that scene. Yeah. And he's like, until he asks, he's like, why am I miserable? Yeah. And so I felt that the second time I was watching it through, just like at peace more so with like, it totally makes sense. The department's changed. He's changed. Technology has changed. The whole game has changed. And he's been his own boss for the last 12 years. Who would want to go back to that? Besides the camaraderie. And then he also makes the comment, nobody really wants to work with me. Mm-hmm. Which I didn't really get that vibe. I felt like they only kind of didn't want to work with him whenever he started calling the cop dirty. Yeah. Other than that, I felt like he actually fit in pretty well. So, I don't know. But that was part of my like being the Dr. Bell thing, being at peace with what happened the second time I watched it. And also, you know what else I really like? That Monk, a smidgen, the guy called him jealous. Like, oh, you're just jealous because we didn't need your big detective skills. But I also like the fact they did show a glimpse of that whenever they're, like, parading the guy, like, through the headquarters. Like, oh, we solved the case. And Monk's kind of, like, looking out the window like, yay. Like, and it wasn't me. Like, he kind of missed it. And I thought that was very human of him as well. right? Because Monk doesn't really do things for glory, but it showed him, like, a little human side of him, like, he did miss that. He
wanted to be there. Yeah.
He wanted to solve the case.
Which I don't get that scene. I remember watching it and being like, they didn't solve the case either. Like, guess we didn't need you this time for your detective skills because we got it. But it was like, no, you didn't. This random guy got it. You know, like, they're, like, celebrating. And
the dirty cop, okay, that's the dirty, quote, dirty cop he solved the case.
Quote, dirty cop.
Well, he didn't actually do anything dirty.
What?
No, he just wanted the reward money.
I know, still. Pretty dirty. If you ask me. You're not a bad person. It's just like, there's something definitely illegal going on there. You can't do that.
Well, no, you can't. Obviously, you can't do it. That's why he did it in secret.
That's what I'm saying.
But I'm saying that whenever
it's wrong.
What I'm saying is that when you hear, like, oh, he was a dirty cop, you're like, oh, what did he do? Did he, like beat people up, or did he, like, take drugs from the... It's like, well, no, he solved a case, and he just wanted to get, like, paid for solving the case. It's not like he let a killer go free in order to get money. He was like, hey, I could do my job and get $500,000 for doing my job. I don't know. I'm sure there'll be a debate about that. But because I literally, like, in spoiler alert, I put in dislikes, Monk's fan with the tissue. I was like, oh no, he's a dirty cop. And I wrote it down because I thought he was, like, a bad guy. And then when I realized what he did, that he was just trying to get paid for the tip he solved. Like, he solved the case. He didn't want the fame. He wanted the money from the reward or whatever.
All I'm saying is...
It's like you can win the lottery except for you work at the gas station, so you can't cash in your ticket because you work at the gas station or something like that. No. And you're like, okay, so I'm going to give my ticket to somebody else who can cash it in, and then they'll give me half the money because we're in cahoots.
Or if you're Monk, you do it because you're a good person. Boom. Am I wrong?
No. Am I
wrong here?
I'm just saying the connotation of, like, oh, he was a dirty cop, like how he was made out to be at first.
I see that.
And then when you figured out, you're like, actually, the murderer is the bad guy because he just wanted half of. Well, he just wanted $250,000, and then this guy was like, actually, that's not good enough. I want $500,000. I'm gonna kill you. And then he tried to kill Monk because he figured it out. Like,
I get what you're saying. No, It's a morality debate. Like, you lied almost to the police department, which you swore under
he definitely did.
Oath.
But he did protect and serve.
He did. He did good things, and I guess you could even see it as, like, a Robin Hood thing. Like, whoa, this money was gonna go to no one. Might as well go to me. Yeah. We don't know what he was gonna do with the money. Yeah. He was taking his wife on a vacation. He was a good man.
He was taking his wife on a vacation. Exactly. Okay. That was a huge dislike on mine. So,
Monk being reinstated, and the very first roll call, Stottlemeyer's like, I have something that after 12 years I'm really excited to announce to everyone. Congratulations, Adrian Monk, on making it back on the force. And everyone's like, yeah. and Monk gets out his note cards, and he's like, he's like, I forget what he says, but it's some famous philosopher, and he's like,
I know what he says.
What does he say?
He says, 70 years ago, Thomas Wolfe said, you can't go home again.
And Stottlemeyer's like, whoa. You don't need to prepare a speech. And he's like, oh, thank God.
That was so funny. I love how quick it happens. It's like Adrian's like, 70 years ago, Thomas Wolfe said, you can't go home again. Like, oh, no speech. Oh, thank God. It's so fast. I love it. That's a good one. My next thing is the coupon clue. I really liked that. Whenever, because he takes the whole bag, right? He puts fake money in the form of coupons that are the shape of dollar bills and like the weight of it, whatever. He takes the bag, but one of them, I guess, like flies out. So the only evidence they have is this one coupon left, and it's for dog food. And so Monk is like, oh, well, look, it's the same as a dollar bill. I was like, ooh, that's a good catch. And then he goes to his house, and he's like, no dog. And Stottlemeyer's like, what do you mean no dog? And Randy's like, remember the coupon he had in his hand? Oh, it was in his hand. The coupon he had in his hand was for dog food, but he doesn't have a dog. And I was like, dang, that's a good one. That was a really big clue in that, like, what was he doing there? He didn't have his gun drawn. Mm-hmm. He didn't have his safety off of his gun. Like, he was completely defenseless, even though he was in total uniform. Like, how did he get shot, or why did he get shot? And he had the coupon that helped. Big time. I feel like it's just been a while since we've had a little clue like that I was impressed with. So, I liked that one.
Honestly, maybe I would have liked this episode a little bit more if the cop was dirty. And and in that scene, the cop killed him. And the cop is the one who's like...
And then it could have been called Mr. Monk and the Dirty Cop.
Mr. Monk and...
Because actually none of the cops were the killers. That, like, they were not the bad guy or whatever. Like, in air quotes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well,
what's your last...
My last final like-in for the first time is... Monk stabbed the dude with the badge.
Oh my gosh, that was so good. It was
so sick because the guy was just like... There was nothing else Monk could have done.
Yeah, and he was about to kill him and throw him off that sky.
Kill him, and he just like pulls out his badge and... So the badge did actually come in clutch.
That would have totally... Right. Yeah, that's true.
The badge actually did help.
And he would have probably killed him. I mean, plot convenience, but still. Like, he would have. We're led to believe that if Monk didn't stab him with the badge, he would have died. So, it saved the day. Okay, fine. So my last is... Natalie's the surprise at the end.
Oh,
I honestly, that probably was the most obvious thing ever. But when when Stottlemyre and Randy said there's a surprise for you, I did not think it was Natalie. I wasn't even thinking about Natalie. And then they were like, exit out the west entrance. He's like, why? He's like, there's a surprise. Well, what is it? Well, I can't tell you. It won't be a surprise. He's like, oh God, okay.
What did you think it was gonna be?
I don't know. Every time they say go outside and meet someone, I always think of Linda Fusco in her van with the whole set, in the back of the truck. That's what and I'm like, well, it's not that, but I pictured some type of Hawaiian themed something.
Oh my God.
I don't know. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, no. I thought of like him having his own like hall, like Adrian Monk Hall or something.
Oh, so you didn't think it was Natalie though?
I didn't think it was Natalie.
Okay. I
had no idea, because like in One Tree Hill. Okay. In One Tree Hill, they have like the Whitey Durham auditorium.
Yeah, stadium or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, and I just thought of that, and I was like, oh, so it's got to be some sort of go exit out this way, and it's like, why did it have to be this way?
Or, okay, yeah, I feel like I keep saying things that I kind of like disliked or plot holey, but because I didn't write them down, but like, why did Monk have to quit? Why couldn't he just like retire? Do you have to be, like, working for longer to retire?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if it was, like... I mean, I guess that would have been kind of lame. Happy retirement. Like, that would be kind of lame. But I thought of that while I was watching it. Like, why did he have to quit? Like, he's literally, like, signing his papers, and he's like... Stottlemyre and Randy are, like, smiling. Like, yay, we're so happy that you're quitting. And I'm like, this is a weird moment.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Monk is like, well, I guess I'm going to go home and sulk or brood. I'm leaning towards brooding. Like, exactly, because that wasn't a happy moment.
Yeah.
And then they're all smiling, and they're like, we have a surprise for you, and it's Natalie. So, which I liked it. I sounded disappointed, but...
I thought they should have been, like, in the beginning scene, whenever they're like, oh, you're not long, we're gonna have to, like, let you go as a, what's it called? Consultant. And then give them the badge, and when they look in on, like, all the people... They're all wearing, like, party stuff, and it's like, happy reinstatement, Monk. And then, like, at the end, he, like, go to the West Wing, and it's like, happy unreinstatement, Monk. And so it's just, like, the same party.
Oh.
Just twice.
Yeah. Or, like, a cake or something.
Yeah.
That's, like, happy reinstatement or something, and then he doesn't get to eat it. And then they're like, oh, well, we didn't get to eat the cake, so... Here it is, and it says happy unreinstatement or something. Like, that might have been, like, okay. And then they eat the cake in the end or something, yeah.
That would have been cool.
That would have been cute. Okay.
I was about to say cute, and then I said cool. I was like,
cool. But yeah, it really was sweet, and they actually, like, did they hug, right?
Yeah.
She's like, oh my gosh, I missed you, and he's like, Mr. So-and-so can get his own dinner reservations or whatever. I'm needed here. And then so they give each other a hug, and then while they're hugging, Monk's like, I pay $900 a week. She's like, I'm not taking a pay cut, Mr. Monk. What is wrong with you? And he's like, well, you shouldn't have quit. And she's like, oh, you make me so mad.
No, she was making millions.
It was so funny. Like, oh, you make me so mad. And then he's like, the captain said I was a surprise out here. Where is it? And she's like, it's me. I'm the surprise. What did you think it was? He's like, I don't know. I thought I might be Joey Heatherton. He's like, you thought Joey Heatherton was out here. You're like, what? I just thought maybe. And then they walk out, and then he kind of peeks his head back in to see if she's there. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. I love it. Okay, now I'm done. Oh, actually, before we move on, I have a transitional question, which I feel like we already kind of talked about, but I just have it starred here for switching in from like to dislike. What do we think of Monk quitting? Just overarching, like or dislike. Do we like that it goes back to normal? Or do we dislike that he quit? Or what's the in-between of that?
I did not.
You did not?
It was lackluster. And they made a whole episode about it. And I thought it was going to be... Which, it would have been a weird last 2 episodes. Admittingly, I was like, how are they going to do that? But then it was like, I'm not happy. And I was like, oh, God. And Monk doesn't win in the end. He goes home to sulk or brood, and he can't figure out which one. Really?
That's true. That's true, yeah. Natalie is like the pick-me-up. And then so that's why he's like, I thought I was going to be Joey Heatherton. I put yay to quitting, but nay to the build-up. To me, it's like the $1 million thing. Natalie can't win the $1 million or she quits. Monk can't win the $1 million or the show's over kind of thing. So it's like Monk can't actually get his badge back and change all of this stuff up so much because then the show changes. So I like that he quit because I want things to be back to normal, but nay to the build up because again, we've been waiting all this time. Like, I don't know. They could have given his badge back in the end, and then we could have just been left with that, but they kind of took it away.
Yeah.
So.
They didn't even, like, take it away like it was open for, like, suggestion. It was like Monk doesn't even want it, which was... It was better than them taking it.
Oh, for sure. They could have... I mean, if they would have let, like... Oh, he's stacking the papers, and now he's stacking papers while the criminal's getting away, and he misfires his gun and does all this. Like, that could have been way, way, way worse. They would have never done that, but they could have done something like that, and you would have been like, really? That's why? Like, it's not on his own terms. It's these little tiny things that are building up. Like, everybody's annoyed with him. He's too OCD. He's too indecisive. Blah, blah, blah. But they didn't do that, so that's a good thing. Yeah. But, yeah.
You know what? They could have done another scene. Like we were saying, like, the whole cake thing. How they finished the cake, or, like, maybe a different party. It was just the party twice. They could have done the opening scene wherever they're both, like, getting ready for work or whatever. And Monk's like, I'm so excited. And he was like, but they leave together. That way they're both, unreinstated.
Yeah.
That'd be cute.
Yeah. They would ride off into the sunset together.
And, like, whenever he, like, turns around to, like, talk to her or whatever, like, I'm gonna miss you. Instead, he's like, wait, you coming?
Yeah. That would have been cute. Okay, I actually really like that. It was making me think of a dislike that I actually wrote about Natalie, and it was that the fact that I like that Natalie's like, well, we're friends. We'll talk on the phone. We'll talk about this and that, whatever. And then when they actually talk on the phone, it's really awkward and sad.
It was so sad.
And I was like, this is, for one, that crushes the whole, like, oh, Monk and Natalie have such great chemistry. Like, they could end up together. No. And then the fact that, like, it makes you think, like, if they ever do separate, if she ever does quit, like, that's the relationship that they'll have is not really one. Like, oh, we actually were only friends because we worked together. Which to me is, like, it sounds sad, but it's also super realistic. Because in normal circumstances, those two would never hang out. They would never have met. They would never be together. They would never be just casual friends. Again, I know that sounds sad, but, like, that's just not realistic.
Yeah.
So, but you also would hope that their relationship was a little bit stronger after 6 years.
Yeah.
That they would be able to talk to each other on the phone and not be super
sucks.
cringy. So I put that as a dislike.
Such a bad scene.
Yeah, I put that as a dislike. For sure.
Yeah. Okay, well, my next dislike, I have a lot of dislikes, I feel like.
Okay. I felt that way too. Go ahead.
So this is the one that I thought was a like, but it actually wasn't. Why can't I just write it in a logbook? Do you remember that scene?
Yes.
Where Monk gets his new computer and he's like, what's happening?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, why can't I write it in a logbook? And the guy's like, what's a logbook? You don't know what a logbook is?
That's pretty self-explanatory.
Logbooks of like 6th grade science class.
It's a book where you log things.
I know. Like, I can't write this down instead of typing it. I thought he was like gonna take calls on his computer, you know, like tech support or whatever. But like, it's like 911 and then he picks up a phone. You know, in the movies when they're like, or like the 911 dispatch line, it's never they pick up a phone, and that because that'd be why they were using the computer. But instead, he's using it to write stuff down. I would say, why not just put it on the headset or whatever?
Okay, I get what you're saying. I think it's because there's a difference between dispatch and a tip line. Because, like, dispatch, I think you still have to type in information. Like, because you have to send it out to the police officer. So you're like, 911, your emergency. Oh, yeah, I'm at the corner of blah, 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 blah. They start typing the address. And like, okay, what's your name? Blah, blah, blah. And what's going on? Okay, and then they're typing. And then this one was... I mean, I guess it was similar. Because he's like, what's Hello, this is Detective Adrian Monk. I am wearing a headset. Go ahead. What does he ask him first?
He's like,
oh, what are you calling for? Something. I have a tip about the pickaxe killer. And he's like, okay, hold please. And he's like, T-I. Where's the P? And he's like, oh my gosh. Okay, there it is. He clicks the P and he's like, unhold. And he's like, and is the suspect male or female? He's like, male. Hold please. And he's like, okay. M for male. And then he's like, unhold. He's like, okay, and what's the suspect's name? He's like, his name is Brian. Okay, hold please. But don't put me on hold. And clicks the button. And then that's when everything goes. Well, that scene was really funny.
I thought it was like an actual thing. Why?
Wait, so what do you mean? What was your question again? Or your confusion?
That why wasn't the first of all, the guy didn't know what a logbook was.
Yeah.
And second of all, like, did he need to, what's it called? Like, put it on a computer, and or why didn't they just put the phone on the computer? It seemed unnecessary.
Yeah, I guess I just don't really know how it works. I'm compiling my information from other TV shows. Like, that is his logbook, is he has to put it down in the computer. He can't just write it down because they don't use that anymore. Because that was like 12 years ago. I don't know.
It's a logbook.
But yeah, the logbook doesn't make any sense. You're like, I mean, I guess just in the context of, what do you mean logbook? Like, we use the computer. Like, what's a logbook? Yeah. Like, I know what a logbook is, but not to put down tips, like a police stuff. Like, maybe he used it in 6th grade science, but not at his job. So he's like, what are you talking about? I don't know.
Could you imagine if you were the guy who did the tip lines for, like, Monk? You'd have a different tip line, like, every day. It's like, imagine never being able to get a tip because Monk always solves it before that.
Oh.
Nothing interesting would ever happen. That would suck. Yeah, that's what I always think about, like, are there any other detectives? Like, what are they doing?
Yeah, and then they're like, oh, you're just mad because we didn't solve this one with your help, whatever. And you're like, yeah, so it took like 50 you guys to arrest the guy, parade him down the hallway. I'll take the credit for it.
After what guy saw him?
After a witness called in a tip about seeing a pickaxe in someone's car.
Easiest thing to connect.
Like, literally, the police... we know the police officer actually did solve it, but it's like he also literally just saw a pickaxe in the guy's car and wrote down his license plate, and that's how the pickaxe killer was caught. His pickaxe was showing. Yeah. Like, what?
Exactly.
Why would you ever put your pickaxe in the light of day?
That's so
if you were killing people with it? I just thought of that as we were discussing that.
Oh my god, I saw a pickaxe in his... Yeah, and then really? You couldn't have not said you were on the 7th floor of a building? Yeah, I was just leaving. I was just on the bottom floor when I noticed there was a pickaxe in this guy's car. Like, I was on the 7th floor of a skyscraper. Do you know how tall that is? And then I saw his license plate. None of the officers were smart enough to be like, that's impossible.
Yeah, and Monk's first thing was, I was there at 2:30 and the sun was blinding, like, in my eyes. And then I also couldn't see because it was really far away. I was like, yeah, I think I'd go with the far away thing. It could have been cloudy that day, but you can't see a tiny license plate that far away.
Tiny's license plate, tiny pickaxe.
Tiny pickaxe,
You have to notice the tiny pickaxe.
And then the license plate.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah. My first dislike was Monk fails at his first job on the phones.
Yeah.
Which we just discussed. And then he shuffles the papers. Day 1, second 1. He's tick, 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 tick.
Yeah.
And he's like, just pass one back. And then he keeps doing it. And then he's like, there's 5, what did he say? There's 5 victims. And then Stottlemeier's like, well, by now there's probably 6. Because
and they laugh, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah, exactly. Just like, we already talked about this kind of too, is that Monk's fan is the dirty cop, but he actually didn't turn out to be. But what I also really disliked was Monk asking the widow questions at the wake.
It was so
cringy. Like, how they literally told Monk, like, lay off, he's a brother in blue, you can't do this.
You're gonna go to his wife. Ugh.
At the freaking funeral wake thing and be like, oh yeah, I was just wondering, you guys were on vacation, right? To the Cayman Islands. Do you have any other, like,
offshore bank accounts?
What are you saying?
Was he doing anything fishy before he died? Like, don't ask.
Yeah,
that.
and then who is it? His partner, like, pushes him up against the bookcase or whatever, and then Stottlemeier comes in and he's like, let me show you something outside. And he's like, what? And he's like, it's you not getting beat up. And he's like, I'd like to see that. That was funny.
Okay. How is Natalie going to be it? That was me at the very beginning of the episode. How the heck is Natalie going to be in this episode? That was my biggest concern. Like, because I was scared. Because they were like, bye, I'm going to miss you. And then I guess it was weird because they did actually cut to her. And then she had her own scene.
And then you're like, what the heck? This is weird.
Yeah.
I take it back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh. Okay, I can go with another one, I guess. Random cat lady. I said this earlier. It was why? We did not need this at all. There's a plot hole that goes along with this, but the joke wasn't even that funny. Or it was like, oh, is it another cat? And then it was like a dude. It was like, yeah, she said it was a dude. What's the funny part about that?
I mean, I didn't think it wasn't funny enough to, like, for that scene. And then my dislike about that was that I thought the cat story would somehow be related, like, because it was so, like, random and silly that I thought it would be, like, obviously, him going to her apartment and seeing across the street was related, and that helped him solve the case a lot. Yeah. Like, that was his premise of, oh, he couldn't see from there. He's dirty, whatever. So, that whole thing, but going back to the place was unnecessary. Because that didn't, like, the second scene was unnecessary. They could have just left it at, you thought it was a person, it ended up being a cat, it helps Monk solve something, there you go. They didn't have to go back and do it. That's what I think. That's just what I think about that.
I don't know. I thought it could have been better if Monk was actively trying to figure out the case. And him being like, I'm on my lunch break. I'm going to go check out the skyscraper right now.
And then him and Natalie could have ate lunch together.
Aww.
That would have been cute.
That would have been cute.
And then she would have been like, Mr. Monk, I thought we were going to eat lunch. And he's like, well, yeah, but first we got to go look at this.
Aww.
Whatever or something. And then they were, like, back together for a second. That would have been so cute. And then she could have realized, like, organically, like, yeah, this is so much more fun than making dinner reservations or whatever. But
oh my god, we should write the show.
I know.
We should write this.
What have we been doing with our lives?
Why did they need to put Brooke Adams in this? What the heck?
Yeah, I mean, I liked her.
I liked her, but, like,
she was she did it good too.
She was good at acting, but, like, not a good como se dice premise for her character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super random. Yeah. I also put bad CGI alert. we had Natalie's office.
Oh, yeah.
With the big... It's not the Space Needle, that's Seattle. I don't even know what that building is called. I think it's a bank or something.
I think that's just a building. It's a big, like, stick in the ground.
It's a big, scrapes the sky a little bit. And then the other one's the scaffolding. Whenever they zoom away, they're on the scaffolding and they zoom away from it.
I wouldn't even pay attention to that.
It's super CGI. Like, it's way worse. And then they have the stunt double.
Oh,
Monk
with the shirt up.
With the fro.
His shirt is up, and then in the next scene, his shirt is tucked. And I was like, whoa.
Oh, okay. That's a good catch. I didn't catch that. I just saw the guy with the monk fro on him. Yeah. So, I have the CGI catch, and then I also had Monk gets moved to a different, like, department or, like, whatever. I don't really understand, because I don't understand the logistics of how the police department works. I thought that the captain was the captain for the homicide division, but I guess maybe there's people under him. I thought they called his other guy a captain, too.
They were both sergeants, no?
Sergeant is way under.
They were detective. I saw the credits.
Okay.
One was a detective, and the other one wasn't. It's a detective.
The big guy.
Detective, sergeant, whatever, and then one was just sergeant, whatever.
Okay. See, I don't know how it works, but I thought that Stottlemyre was the captain of the homicide division, so that no matter what, technically, Monk is working for the captain. It's just, I guess he's just not working with the captain, whereas, like, when he's the consultant, Stottlemyre is like, hey, Monk, you're going to do what I'm doing today. Whereas when they're not doing that, you're like, hey, you actually work with this guy, so you have all of his cases. My cases are my cases, and I can't call upon you anymore. It's not like that. You work over there.
It's like procedure.
Protocol or whatever. Like, but what's protocol about that? If you're the boss of the whole homicide squad, why couldn't you have Monk on your team? What, you know what I mean?
So they just have, like, their teams in, like, the same room?
That's what I don't know. I don't get it.
Because it's like, here's your old desk, but he used to work for Stottlemyre.
And he's on the phones.
He's on the phones.
Then I guess
he used to work for Stottlemyre.
Take that phone away from him.
Stottlemyre's case.
It's still his office.
Still his desk, still his office. I'm guessing that's like Stottlemyre's little team in there. How have I never seen that corner? And
well, that's what I put. I don't know if I put it in plot holes, but I talked it out with Toby, and he was like, I don't think they were making it seem like that. I thought every single room looked like the normal headquarters room, like where they do everything, like where Randy's desk is. They made Monk look like it was in the same room as Randy's desk, and then when I rewatched it, I was like, no, I guess the walls are different. Because when Stottlemyre's like standing in front of his desk, he makes it look like that's his office right next to him, and it's not supposed to be. I don't think. So that's what you were saying, like, he looks like he's in, like, Stottlemyre's team area, but I think that's a totally different room.
So he never worked for Stottlemyre?
That's what, yeah.
But he didn't.
I have no clue.
This opens up a whole can of plot holes.
Yeah, exactly.
Not so fun plot
holes. And so my dislike was that they moved him, departments, or at least away from Leland or whatever, and that's part of why he dislikes it.
Yeah.
Because if he was still working under Stottlemyre, what would be for him to not like?
Yeah.
Because Stottlemyre would have let him investigate the dirty cop. Mm-hmm. He wouldn't have he would have worked with somebody. He could have rode around with Randy or something. I don't know. That was just one of mine. Do you have any more dislikes?
I do.
Okay.
The one time Monk's on the force and he isn't out there on the field. This is more of a plot hole, and he isn't on the case. There's a $500,000 reward. Mm. The one time where they need some money to be there, and Monk isn't working on the case.
That's funny. I didn't think about that. That's a good plot hole.
It's just, yeah, am I wrong?
That's a really good plot hole. That's funny.
Yeah.
Because then Natalie would have been like, screw this office job. We're going to find that money. And it would have been like the big reward all over again.
I know.
Interesting.
But they never once, like, as soon as Monk isn't there to solve the case. But that's the thing. It's like his first day. And the guy has apparently been a big thing for months. Or a month.
And Monk hasn't solved it thus far.
Yeah. And he's never been on the case in general. No one's given this case to Monk.
That's a good plot hole. That's a good plot hole. I was going to say you could debunk the other plot hole, though. Because, remember, the big reward was given by the museum.
The museum, yeah.
Not the police. That's why the police officer wasn't eligible, because the reward, I think, was from the police. Mm-hmm. I think. I don't know. Or
because if it's police, then you're just straight up doing your job. Which is why he was a bad cop.
Okay. My last one is... Oh, this isn't really a dislike. I don't know why I wrote this. But I put Monk was happy all along, ? Like, we were watching Monk be happy all along. Like, this was him being happy. But then I put... relatable. Because you're like, oh man, life could be better, and then you think like, oh, this would make life better, and you're like, dang it, I was happy before. Like that was the better, dang. Yeah. So I put relatable. But my last thing, which I can't really fault them for because I got it in the last episode, so I'm happy, but I just put it was lacking the gang action. It was lacking some Randy funny quotes. Stottlemyre, I feel like, is the most that we saw. But
I'm not mad. I'm not particularly mad. They did have a Randy joke in there. What was it? About the pickaxe killer?
He wanted to rename the Gold Rush killer. He's like, no. And he's like, well, they use pickaxes in the Gold Rush. And he's like, Randy, let it go. Yeah, I think that was the only Randy joke there was. Yeah. So, but... Okay, that dislikes wasn't as bad as I thought. I thought I had more than that, but it's okay.
He's the guy.
Okay, Noah, do you have anyone?
I do.
What? You do? Okay, cool.
Brooke Adams.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about her, yeah.
She was on this episode.
Yeah.
By the way. Oh, last week we had Michael Shalhoub. Yeah. And this week we have Tony. Oh. And Brooke Adams.
Yeah.
So, I thought it was cool that I think they're trying to squeeze in a bunch of Monk's
family.
Monk family.
Yeah.
Give them all some paychecks, I guess.
Before he doesn't have a job anymore.
I know.
That's so sad.
Honestly, that's kind of genius, though. Like, I'm an actor. You get paid for being acting. You get paid for acting, but you don't even have to be, like, that good at acting to be on Monk. You just, like, Natalie in her first few seasons, am I right? So you can just go out there if you're like related. If Tony likes you, then he can just be like, here's your job. That's sick. Brooke's making some bucks. Yeah, honestly, she's been on like 5 times.
TBH, she probably didn't even get paid.
Oh yeah,
for any appearance. I would assume that she didn't get paid.
I'm assuming that they just like her, and they just like putting her in there.
Yeah. That's what I would assume. I would assume that it was...
If she got paid, then...
They probably wrote the roles for her and not even, like...
Yeah.
But, yeah. Okay, I also had Brooke Adams, of course. This is her last appearance. That I believe this is her last appearance. I don't think she's in the finale. Spoiler. But, so far she's played Lee Harrison in Mr. Monk and the Airplane. That was in season 1. She played Abigail Carlisle in Mr. Monk and the Kid. That was in season 3. She played Sheriff Maggie Butterfield in Mr. Monk Visits the Farm. I think that was season 5, maybe. Yes. And then she played Leigh Harrison again in Mr. Monk in the 100th Case, where she comes back as an alcoholic because he drove her to alcoholism. And then this episode, she played Edith Capriani, the crazy cat lady, in Mr. Monk and the Badge. And then I was looking up her credits, and she was on an episode of Frasier as a voice when she, he always has people call in or whatever.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was like, really? And so I watched it. To me, it didn't sound anything like her. Oh. Okay. But she calls in and she's like, oh, I just wanted to call in because I feel homesick because I'm from Wisconsin. And Roz, the producer's like, oh my God, I'm from Wisconsin. And she's like, oh, you are? What part are you from? And she's like, I'm from this part. Oh my gosh, me too. I have cousins there. Do you know them? Yes. Oh my gosh. And then they're like, and Frasier's sitting there like, okay, tune in next time for the Cheese Chronicles or something something silly like that because they just talk about Wisconsin for a few minutes. So, but it didn't sound like her at all. But I thought it was strange because also Tony Shalhoub was on an episode of Frasier. Also, he plays. Have we ever talked about this? Just really quick. So they do a one of those like study group, like control groups, where they try to figure out what's good about your show and what's bad. It's like a test group. So they have this group of people, and Roz and Frasier are sitting behind the window. And they're like, don't worry, the producers, like, they're not here. They can't hear you. Nobody can hear you, but they're lying to them. So there's this whole, I don't know it's called a test group or something like that, right?
A focus group.
Yes, thank you. Focus group. It's probably called focus group, honestly. So that's probably what the episode's called. And Tony Shalhoub is in it. He has an accent. He's like Ukraine or Russian or something like that. Yeah, so he has a little bit of an accent, and everyone's like, I really liked the Dr. Crane guy. He was really cool. And like, and Roz, she sounds so like sophisticated. I love it. And like, yeah. And then they're like, okay, what about you? And he's like, I don't like him. And he's like, they're like, what? Why? You're crazy. He's awesome. And he's like, I don't know. I just don't like him. And they're like, okay, well, we all loved him. Yeah. And then Frasier can't let it go that this guy doesn't like him. So he ends up like going to his newsstand because he owns a newsstand. And then he's like bothering him, asking him why he doesn't like him. And he's like, you're just annoying. And he's like, what? And then so this like chaos ensues. Frasier ends up like burning down his newsstand somehow. God. And like it's on fire or so. It's crazy. But yeah, that was Tony Shalhoub was on there. And I was like, I realized Brooke Adams was on it. And then I was like, oh my gosh. Tony Shalhoub was on here too. Duh. But I don't know if that's the reason that she got the job again. But
whoa.
Yeah, I don't know.
That sounds like a really funny episode.
Yeah, it's cute. He's like, I don't know. I just don't like him. And Frasier cannot let it go. So it's funny. But I do have some other people. I have Jack McGee, who played Danny Weaver, who is the heavier set guy, who's his boss now, right? He was on an episode of 911, This Is Us, Will and Grace, Grandfather, Lie to Me, Veronica Mars, Malcolm in the Middle, and Roseanne. I don't remember him being specifically in any of those, but that's just what I jotted down because I'm like, well, of course I recognize him because he's in all these shows I've watched, right? Mm-hmm. I also have Chris McGarry, who played Louis Doyle, who's his partner in the episode, who becomes his partner, right? He was in 5 episodes of The Fosters. I believe it said he was a police officer on that one, so I was like, that's what I recognized him from. He was also on Medium, Lie to Me, and 24. And then Mark Herlick, who played, how'd you pronounce his name? Mikhail Alvanov or something? The killer, the murderer. He had a weird name. Mikhail
Almanov.
Okay, there you go. He was on a bunch of stuff. How to Get Away with Murder, Kimmy Schmidt, which we just talked about, Scandal, Lie to Me, Cheers, Wings, which was Frasier's show and Tony Shalhoub show, Medium, Numbers, an episode of House, and what I recognized him from was from Will and Grace, which I just like rewatched recently. You guys know, there's a few episodes where Jack is, we watched Will and Grace together the other day. He works at a gay TV network, and this guy is his boss. And so, but everyone is straight there except for Jack. Jack's like the only gay one. Okay. And so they always ask him for like his ideas and opinions and stuff. And so, yeah, it's a good. I love that storyline actually because Jack has like a little Cher doll on his like desk and everything, and it's funny. But anyway, so and then I recognize him. He's Topanga's dad on Boy Meets World. There's like the whole storyline where her parents are getting divorced, and he's on there because they like barely show her parents ever. And I think her dad's played by like 2 or 3 different actors, and he's one of them. But he's on there more, I think, than anyone else because he's on there when they're like getting divorced. And Topanga has this big like blow up about it, like I can't believe my parents are getting divorced or whatever. And we're like, whatever, it's not even your real dad. So, but anyways, that's what I recognize him from. And then that actually is my last guy, but I realized that there was a lot of names, like even the names I didn't mention, there was a ton of people who were on Scandal. A lot of them were on the show Numbers, Lie to Me, and The Unit, which was an army show. I watched like the first season and I couldn't get into it, but I knew what it was. And so I realized like The Unit, and I was like, that's a weird connection. And then of course 24, there was people from 24. So a lot of the same actors tying together. Huge. But that is actually it for He's the Guy. That was it. That was a quick and easy one.
Yay. Junk time. Welcome back to my favorite time and yours on the show where we only have 3 more junk times left.
I have scraped my chia seed pudding. Licked it clean.
So much peanut butter.
Yeah, you definitely have just a giant, let me see,
glop of peanut butter on the
Oh my god.
Barely any at the bottom.
What? There's so many chia seeds in here.
You can have the rest. I'm done.
Okay, then let me ask the question. If you could be anyone's assistant, whose assistant would you be?
Michael Jackson. it'd be pretty easy, you know, he doesn't do much.
He's dead.
But I know.
Wow. Wow. That was tasteful. Okay.
No, I don't even know. Joel McHale. He's my favorite actor.
Oh, that's true. I forgot about that.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of like the easiest, like, answer. Like, my favorite actor.
Who did I see? I saw Joel McHale on something. And I was like, oh, we should wait for Noah.
Big Willis.
And Toby was like, no.
Running Wild.
It was one of those celebrity shows. Oh, he was on Celebrity Wheel of Fortune.
What the heck? You didn't wait for me?
I wanted to, but Toby said no.
I don't remember that, Toby.
We were on a roll. We watched them all.
Wow. You couldn't have skipped one? What the heck? Joel McHale's my favorite. He hosts Card Sharks. He was on Community. What else was he? He has his
Celebrity Wheel of Fortune.
Anyways.
I won't tell you how much you won or anything. So how about that?
Who's your assistant? Assistant? Assisted.
That makes sense. Okay, I got you.
You're the assistant.
I would think, like, I feel like it obviously would be more fun to be, like, a single celebrity's assistant. But also you would be more exposed to more celebrities if you were, like this guy. Like a record executive or somebody like that who's in the industry more.
Yeah, you could be like a director's. Oh my god.
Assistant,
you could
or
be
like a casting.
Anthony Russo's assistant.
I don't know who that is.
He met Joel McHale.
He met Joel McHale. So instead of me, you just want to be with the guy that met Joel McHale. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, if I get to go through it, like, you gotta go through their career with them as their assistant. That's what I feel like this is. You know?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, too, is because celebrities hang out with other celebrities. So, like, even if you were Joel McHale's assistant, you'd get to hang out with his celebrity friends. So, it's like, would you rather hang out with his celebrity friends, or would you rather hang out with just, like, the like, the huge, like, the biggest ones, and you're like, oh, yeah, he was rude, or he was not, you know what I mean? Because that's the thing, too, is, like, I'm sure they do dish, but, like, I feel like being a celebrity's assistant, it would be less, like, talking crap about your celebrity friends. But, like, if you were, like I said, say a director's assistant or a record executive's assistant, they'd be like, oh, yeah, he's a total tool. Just prepare yourself. He's a jerk. You know, or, like, oh, he's so nice. Like, you won't believe he's, like, the nicest celebrity ever. And you're like, okay, cool, you know. Or it's like, if it's your boss's friends, their actual friends, you're like, oh god, I have to deal with this jerk. You know what I mean? Like, it'd be just a different feel. Oh, like on The Circle.
Yeah.
Or that girl was, like, legit Lance Bass's assistant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're like, they're actually, like, friends because they're so close, and you're like, oh yeah, like, I know this celebrity. Like, that's cool too. So.
Yeah.
I still do think it would be cool to maybe be, like, less niche of, like, where somebody you meet all the kinds of people.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure, no, you know what? I'm sticking with Joel McHale. I wouldn't want to be the Rooster Brothers because I'm pretty sure they're not super funny. Like, I would rather be a Joel McHale. Like, because they're talented and stuff, but they're, like, are good at directing. Like, they ever directed Avengers, like, all the Avengers movies, Endgame, Infinity War, highest grossing film of all time. And Community. Of course. But, like, I don't know. I feel like they're just really good at filming and not good at, like, you know, talking, whatever. So I'd rather just be friends with Joel McHale. That'd be sick.
If I wanted to be one of those people that was like, well, if I could be so-and-so's assistant, it could launch my career. Maybe I could be Joanna Gaines' assistant.
Oh!
And she's in Waco.
She's in Waco. You're in Waco.
That'd be close.
Almost Waco. Close to Waco?
We're like 2 hours or 1 hour from Waco.
3 hours? 4 hours?
No, we're really close to Waco.
We are in South America, so that'd be 15 hours.
So she's actually super close. She doesn't do a lot of outside gigs. Mm-hmm. And then I could be there with her and doing her Magnolia thing and helping her with her opening of her blah, blah, blah and her cooking show. Okay, I'm so excited. This would be sick. I have my answer, guys. It's Joanna Gaines. I would want to be Joanna Gaines' assistant. And then we'd be, like, chilling on the farm.
And also, yeah.
That would be sick.
Because, like, Joanna Gaines is so, like, low maintenance.
Yeah.
You'd barely have to, like, assist her. Just like, I don't know.
But you know she's a total boss.
Breakfast.
So
she wants to make breakfast. No, Joanna Gaines does everything
she's gonna
herself.
make me breakfast. Oh my god, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. She's gonna make me breakfast. Like, Joanna, I'm halfway through your first book. Love it. Making all the things.
That is so
we should make a recipe for our final shows.
Junk monk.
I haven't made a recipe in so long because I've been paleo.
You've made a recipe?
I haven't made a Joanna Gaines recipe in a long time because I've been paleo.
Oh.
Yeah. See?
She should have some paleo stuff.
I know, right?
That'd be sick.
It won't taste good, though. It won't be with 2 sticks of butter and cream and heavy cream and whipping cream and all the creams. Okay, my next question is, what band would you want to have lunch with if you were that guy's assistant?
I can only think of one band currently, and I know who you're gonna say, obviously, but I would say Gorillaz because they're not real. Do you know who Gorillaz are? You know Gorillaz. Mm-hmm. They're like the animated thing, yeah. I think that's really funny, and I mean it'd be cooler to. I mean, they're not real, but like if they were, I would have breakfast or whatever it was, lunch with them. Yeah, that'd be sick. Anyways, I have no idea. You go ahead and talk about the Jonas Brothers.
Spoiler alert. God, Noah. The Jonas Brothers are my jam. No, but really, we also watched, because we were just watching game shows this weekend, and they were on Hot Ones. It was like a year ago or something. Yeah. It was one of his first or only, like, 3-person. They, like, took down the most wings ever. They'd have, like, 40 wings or something. Holy crap. But they just seem like really cool guys. Mm-hmm. And I know someone who has met them a few times, and he says that they're really cool and really nice. Mm-hmm. And I won't tell the whole story because I don't know if, like,
your parent-patient confidentiality or whatnot.
Yeah, confidentiality. But I will say that I own something from the Jonas Brothers. Somebody I know.
They're not going to see this.
I know, but I won't say what it is or whatever because that it would be...
There's a tiny chance.
There's a tiny chance, but something... They basically, like, had access to one of their items, so they got it and they gave it to me.
Not, like, stole. That'd be weird.
Yeah, I would say there would have been a plethora of these things.
It's like the
for
guy,
example, it'd be like their fruit or something.
It's like the guy with Mr. Monk's wipes.
It's pretty much exactly like the wipes thing. Like
exactly.
Like you have a bunch of wipes, you touched it, it was yours. I now have it. That is it. I can't tell you.
Not like his phone.
Yeah, no. It's something like.
I grabbed his car key for you.
Remember when it was breaking news that someone was texting all of the Jonas Brothers contacts? That was me. No, yeah, it was something very, very small, but I have it and I love it. It's my prized possession. So sorry I can't tell you guys what it is. But yeah, so that would obviously be the band that I would want to have lunch with. But I also hear they're good guys. I don't know, like, if I would want to have lunch with somebody that I had, like, you know, a reputation of, like, a slight inkling that they wouldn't be who I, like, thought they were going to be. Mm-hmm. I feel like the Jonas Brothers would be cool guys. Also, did we ever talk about how there was, like, a bidding thing going on? Like, Tony Shalhoub was having, like, a lunch, like, bid on a day lunch with Tony Shalhoub. And Denise from Tony Shalhoub Daily was like, I need someone to go in on this with me. Because it was like a lunch for 3 people. Mm-hmm. And so I think like I don't know if the winning bid, but last time I saw it was $3,000. I mean, I don't know.
Honestly, if I was a celebrity, I would totally do those things. Like Cameo, where it's like,
yeah,
you pay me $100, so I say happy birthday to you.
Yeah.
Like I would totally cash in on that.
I love how people have different tiers. Where like some of them are like $20, $50, $500, and it's like, yes, you are more famous than that person. Yeah.
But some people are like rude on that app. $1,000. It's like, bro, like, like if I was famous, I would do it like $20 at the most. Because no one's like, whoa, it's more genuine if it's only $20.
The thing is, you would like sell out though. Like, because you'd be in such high demand because you would be that famous and you're giving shout outs for $20.
Yeah, how famous I am. If I'm Kanye West, I'm $40K.
and it also does, I agree with what you're saying, but it also makes it like less rare, right? Because if anybody can just get a shout out for $20, it's like, oh, you bought me this for my birthday? You spent $20 on my birthday?
Yeah.
Whereas, like, if it costs, like, $200, you're like, $200 I feel like is a fair, like, decent price to be like, you spent $200 on my birthday? Oh, that's so sweet of you. That's awesome. And I got, you know what I mean? Like, not that you are going to think of it in the price-wise, but when you figure out it's $20 and everybody and their mom's got a shout-out from so-and-so, you're going to be like, well, yeah, because it was $20. So, It's not as special. But, yeah. I mean, let's not forget, we literally talked to a celebrity for like a whole hour, and it was amazing. I thought of that earlier. You mentioned it in our pod. You were like, oh yeah, Jason Gray, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, we know him. Or at least we talked to him once.
We talked to him. He knows who we are.
He knows who we are.
He knows the podcast people.
So we're going to go ahead and move on to our next thing, which is I honestly was slacking a little bit on watching the bonus features. It's so hard for me to remember because I don't watch it on DVD, right? I send you guys the DVDs. So, but I did watch on this disc that has this episode on it. They had a set tour and I jotted down some of the things. So it was this guy who honestly was like it was made in 2010 or 2009-ish, right? Before the show ended, I guess. And it was really like home camera, like it was kind of cool, but they were like making jokes. I don't remember what his name was. Wow, I'm really great at this. I don't remember what the guy's name was, but he was some type of assistant or something like that. And he was like, okay, I'm going to show you I'm going to show you a set tour. So they had like, they showed their trailers. They were like, we're actually working on Mr. Monk and Sharona this week. So Whoa. This big trailer right here is Biddy Shrams. Whoa. This big trailer right here is Trailer's trailer. And then the last one here, the small one, is Tony Shalhoub's. You know, he's kind of bitter about his trailer being so small. He's like, no, I'm just kidding. He doesn't mind. The ladies have the bigger trailers or whatever. And so I was like, oh, that's so cool. Then it showed them in the cemetery scene with, you know, Sharona and Natalie go find Mr. Monk. And they showed like Trudy's gravestone. And they were like, how many times have we been to this cemetery? And they're like, as like Trudy's gravestone, like 3 or 4 times. And then as just a cemetery, like, oh wow, tons of times. So and they were like, okay, well, that's a wrap on Trudy's grave. And so they like pick up the headstone because it's like fake. And it was so cool. And someone's like, oh, I'm taking this to my office or something like that. Whoa. It was cool. And then they showed I wanted you to see this one, honestly. It was the golf course scene, and it shows the entire thing is all the stunt double people. And so it shows like the fake Sharona and the fake Natalie on the golf cart, and it shows her, you know, in real time, shows the whole thing because he's just like holding the camera behind their cameras. And so you see her like jump off and tackle the guy and then do their choreography where they're like, yeah. And like the fake Natalie with the really bad wig is there just like standing there waiting. And then she jumps on her and everything. It's so interesting. It was so cool. I was like, this is crazy. It was crazy cool. And then they take a little tour of Monk's apartment and they show the inside of his refrigerator. And all the food in there is actual food, but it's all like dried food. Whoa. So it's all like, you know, dehydrated, I guess, or whatever, but it's all in like the Tupperware containers. And then he has a little chart of like food, and he like shows up close of like green is like onions and brown is this, and it was really cool. That's sick. So they showed the fridge, and then on the outside of Monk's apartment, whenever you exit, you know how we always were like, how does that really work? There's literally like, I don't know if I can explain this. So you have Monk's umbrellas on the left-hand side, right? Mm-hmm. You open his door. Immediately to the left, like immediately, there's another apartment door. Like his apartment's like 2G. Immediately right next to it is 2E. Whoa. Yeah. And I was like, that has never been explained or shown ever. Yeah. And he's like, I don't know if he said he'd never seen this before, but that's what's right there or something like that. But they showed like the inside of his shower. And it had a bunch of like sheets and stuff in it. And he's like, yeah, I don't think we've ever shown this shower in the history of the show. So I guess there's some sheets in there. Whoa. And it showed like his faucet. And it showed like all his shampoos and conditioners were all like even and labeled and everything. Which is like stuff you never even see, but it's there. It's like super cool. Because it just stays that way all the time.
Oh my God, that is sick.
Yeah. And then they showed, the next one was Mr. Monk and the Best Man. And they showed the whole scene of whenever Randy's playing the steel drums, but it's all different camera angle. So it's like how we see it, like we see Randy and the gifts are behind him, right? Well, this is like a onward thing. Like the gifts are on the left, Randy's right in front of you, and you see all the couples walking up the aisle. Because it's like not like it's a different camera angle. It's literally this guy's home camera. And he's filming it. And then you see Randy do the steel drums. And then you see the explosion. Because it's like a firecracker. Okay. And it's like, poof, and it actually goes off. And then they scream. And then the camera kind of like turns toward them. And they're like, screaming and doing their whole lines and everything. It's so cool. It's so interesting. And then apparently it was also Virginia Madsen's birthday. So they had footage of her with a big cake. The girl that plays TK. And so they have like a big cake. Then in the chapel, like they just have a big cake for her. She's blowing out birthday candles and like, oh, thanks guys. And I was like, that's so cool. Because she gets married on the same week as her birthday. I was like, that's so cute. And then they showed like the beach wedding. And they're showing it, and then apparently they had to hide it so that fans couldn't see who was getting married and what was happening. So they have this huge heart on the beach and all this camera crew, but they have like this huge thing that's hiding it from everyone. And they're like, we want to keep it under wraps and blah, blah, blah. This is obviously the marriage of Captain Stottlemyre, so we don't want it to get out and everything. And then they went into the editing room and they would talk to like it was interesting. They had like 2 different people working on 2 different episodes. So that might be why, like, you know, the editing is different on some, because there's literally one guy editing Mr. Monk and the dog, and the other one was editing Mr. Monk and goes camping or something. They were editing 2 different episodes, and then they go into this other office, and these 2 guys were the assistant of the main editor, and they walk in and they were like, oh, and this is where, you know, he's editing. What are you editing? And he's like, oh, I'm working on Mr. Monk and the End Part 1. And they're like, what? He's like, oh, whoa, don't look at the screen. Don't look at the screen. And then but then it was funny. He told a story about how like Tony Shalhoub literally has input on every single episode. Like he goes into the editing room every episode and they discuss all the things. So I was like, wow, that's a lot of work. But he was saying that like the very first time that Tony had ever come into his office like that, he was dressed as Monk because he was working. And so he was like, it was so strange because I was sitting there editing an episode and Monk is being all like particular and OCD about everything. And then Monk comes in to my office and I'm like, oh God, he's about to be so OCD about this and like particular and everything. And he's like, but he wasn't. He was great. It was fantastic. And we've been working together ever since. But it was just really funny because I was working with Monk and it was very strange, but very cool. So that was it for my set tour.
Wow, that was sick.
But
painted a picture for us. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, okay. And then I have some viewers' voices from Mr. Monk and the Badge, of course. I posted this on Facebook. There were a lot of good ones, so I thought we would just kind of read this thread about people's thoughts on this episode. So we have William who says, I think it would have been better if a police psychologist was with him and explained what would be different before he officially rejoined, as it may have prepared him for it better, especially as it was totally different than he had envisioned. Also, although he'd been actively around the police as a consultant, he hadn't been shown any new technology, and that may have benefited him to have additional training before being thrown in the deep end.
That's what I was thinking, actually. Like, how good are you with a gun? Because you gotta be pretty skilled with a gun to be able to hold a gun. Like, to be able to, you know, here's your gun, you know? I wonder if they took him into a firing range. Like,
I would assume so. And also, though, Monk has literally used a gun like 5 times as many times as he's used a computer.
Yeah.
Because we've seen him shoot a gun. He owns a gun. He does not own a computer. That one episode, Julie teaches him how to use the computer. So, but yeah.
This is from Alice Buell, and she says, I found it ridiculous that they just sat him down at a desk with a computer and completely new phone equipment, assuming he knew how to use it. Everyone knew he'd been gone a long time. I just don't think that would ever happen. True.
Yep.
Agreed. He was just like, all right, this is your computer. It has 4 terabytes of gigabytes of megabytes. There you go.
Yeah, I know. I was like, I don't even know what that means. Oh, I do know what 4 terabytes means, but I was like, is that supposed to be impressive?
Yeah.
Like, you're just logging calls. Why do I need 4 terabytes to put TIP?
TIPM.
Okay, so I got 2 short ones. Arlette Black says, one of my top 5 least favorites. Interesting. Cecile Batiste says, there are no bad Monk episodes, so yes, I liked it.
Carol Ware says, really should have been a 2-part episode and Monk gave up his badge too easily. I agree.
I was kind of toying with the idea of what if at like the beginning of season 8, he got his badge back and then slowly worked his way up to like what we're talking about. Like, wow, he's just too good. Like, remember how like his boss was like, how many open cases do you have? And he's like 17 or 19 or something. And he's like, well, get to work on those. It's like, but if those are homicide cases, Monk is going to solve them like.
Yeah.
So, right. So if you had started at season 8, episode 1, Mr. Monk and the Badge, maybe we could have seen the growth of that like through the season. And then we would have established like Monk has this new job by the end. Instead of season 8, episode 14, Monk gets his badge. Monk doesn't have his badge. And that's done.
Yeah.
So, I liked that, Carol. It made me think on that one. And then, you want to read the last one?
Sure. Judy McDonald says, I like any and all episodes with Brooke Adams. Crazy Cat Lady was her best. No.
What was her best?
Sheriff Butter.
Oh,
Butterfield,
yes.
right?
Oh, absolutely. That is totally her best.
She was the best.
That is her best. That's true.
She was awesome.
All right, guys. Well, by the time you're listening to this, we probably recorded the last ones. So you could still try to send in your viewer's voice. And maybe we'll read them on the last wrap-up or something. But I look forward to hearing what you guys think about the finale. Okay, let's move on.
Plot holes. All right, Candace.
Okay, Noah, do you have any plot holes?
Yep. Okay. I think I have like 4. Quattro.
I mean, there's a lot of plot holes in this.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I have 1.
You have 1?
Well,
honestly, we've talked about a lot of them.
Oh, yeah. I already said the one about Monk and the $500,000 reward. The one time he isn't on the case.
Oh, that's good.
Mm-hmm. And then the guy not knowing what a logbook is.
Okay.
But that's pretty much all I've said yet. And I only have 2 more.
Okay, so I'll do my callbacks. I got serious Mr. Monk and the Private Eye vibes whenever he's like, remember the scene where he's like being tortured and he's like calls Natalie because he's so bored and he's playing with the pencils and stuff? He did that in this episode. And he plays with the sticky notes and he stacks up the pencils and everything. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that's like the same scene. So that's interesting. And then Toby had a catch. So he actually found some timestamps. So good job, Toby. Whenever the guy on the murderer, he says, well, I was on the 6th floor and I was looking down at the license plate. He says 6th floor. And that's at 14 minutes and 14 seconds. And then at 19 minutes and 38 seconds, when Monk goes to explain to his captain guy, he's like, I went to the 7th floor at 2:30 p.m. And Toby was like, wait, 7th floor? The guy said 6th floor. So he went back and looked and he fact checked it. So the guy says 6th floor and Monk says 7th floor. And that was like, well, and that was part of his basis too, is that like, it was too far away. And I was like, well, maybe because you went 1 floor up, Monk. Maybe because you went 1 floor up.
I mean, 6th floor still.
No, I know, but that was like his argument. Like, I went to the 25th floor. I couldn't see a thing. And you're like, okay, we believe you, Monk.
It was 2nd floor, Monk.
It was 2 to 5, not 25. Okay, this callback. Okay, you're probably not going to be impressed because I did it in front of Toby and not you. But I go. Okay, Joey Heatherton. I've heard that name. Monk has said this before. They were standing in a park. And my wheels were turning.
Monk the kid.
And I was like, they're standing in a park and Mr. Monk joins a cult. And so I didn't know what reference it was, but then I played the episode and at the beginning they're in a park and they're explaining the girl died on the picnic table, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, yeah. Hang on. I remember. It's when Monk wants to join the cult and the captain says, Monk, you can't join a cult. You're the most gullible person I know. And Monk says, what? No, I'm not. And Stottlemyre says, yeah, I was talking to Joey Heatherton yesterday and she was telling me the same thing. And Monk's like, what? Joey Heatherton? He was talking to Joey Heatherton. And you're like, exactly. And so I was like, bam! Toby was impressed because I was like, they were standing in a park.
Never heard that name in my life.
They were standing in a park. I didn't know who it was. I had to look it up. She's a famous singer from the 60s, 50s, 60s or something. I don't think so. She looked more dressed like Marilyn Monroe-y type, showgirl-y type. But yeah, I was like, dang, what did I do last time? I was impressed with myself. Well, it was some crazy callback, and I was like, oh my gosh, I did it.
You always do that.
Oh, Spider Lake. I'm Sweetie Road.
Oh, yeah.
Toby listened to that episode. He was like, holy crap, you did it. And I was like, I know. My mind is like a file cabinet. It literally just like, and I was like, Joey Heatherton. And I was like, in the park. Monk joins a cult. I did have to watch it to think about what the joke was. Yeah. But I figured it out. And I was like, oh my gosh, I am a genius. Okay.
Joey Heatherton.
Joey Heatherton. It's this famous singer. I don't know. Okay, what are your plot holes before I take any?
Okay, so my two... Do you want me to do both of them?
You can just do one.
Okay. Why is Monk on the 911 line, emergency line? He's going to the crazy cat lady's house, which, remember when I was like, there's a plot hole that goes with this crazy cat lady. Uh-huh. Why is he there? He's a detective. Detectives don't do that.
That's, okay, I paused it, and I talked to Toby's ear off, because I was like, I don't get it. How is blah, 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 blah. Because, again, I went back to my Law & Order knowledge, and I was like,
exactly.
Detective Stabler and Benson. Guys, I haven't watched it in a long time. I know he's not on the show anymore, but that's the last time I watched it. And they would go to these scenes, but they were all related to their crimes. Like, they were the Special Victims Unit, so they worked with, like, sex crimes. So everyone they were interviewing was always about that. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, I got assaulted. Oh, I did this and that. Like, they never went to go see crazy cat ladies.
Exactly.
Now, okay, the only thing that what I'll say is, because I didn't know about it, so I didn't write it down, but whenever I was looking at the Monk wiki, it was saying that Monk is taking emergency calls with his partner. So, I mean, that doesn't explain it, because they basically just said what happened. But they were explaining it as, well, they take emergency calls. But I don't get it.
No.
If someone out there is a police officer, if you know a police officer, please explain to us how and why a homicide detective who has 17 to 19 cases on his desk is going to see the crazy cat lady. If you could explain that to us.
And I've seen The Rookie.
Okay.
And, I mean, I'm pretty sure
all of our expert opinions. Go ahead.
It seems accurate. It seems extremely accurate.
Of course.
What was that supposed to be? Also...
No.
Oh, what? You think you know? Oh.
No, I'm saying...
Of course.
I'm saying of course, because I watch SVU, you watch The Rookie. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry.
This is our expert opinion.
Anyways, The Rookie deals with this type of thing all the time, because he is a... Say it with me now. Rookie.
Oh, okay.
Say it with me now. Rookie. Okay, because he's not a detective. And they have detectives on that show, but they're not doing that. Yeah. They're solving cases like a detective, you know? Because there's field officers, like patrol.
Toby said, wouldn't a beat cop be doing that?
Don't know what that is.
A beat cop is a regular cop. Like, that's what they call it, like, when you work the beat. Like, you're out on the streets. That's like a street cop, but they call it a beat cop. You're a patrol officer,
and you patrol around the city, and they go, hey, beep boop bop boop. We need you. I'm the dispatcher lady. She's like, dispatching you. She's like, beep boop bop boop, number car 98. Which, that's the car in Superbad. They're like, car 98. You gotta go to this location. And so they go, and they're like, there's a 10-4 there. You know, then they'll go, all right, detectives, you're at your desk working. I want you to go to this crazy cat lady's place. Like, no.
Yeah.
They would never use a detective for that. Plot convenience, plot armor, Brooke Monk did not need to be there.
Yeah. I agree, because I don't know how it works. I didn't write it down because I had no real evidence, but I'm glad that you pointed it out, because I totally agree. Okay, my first real plot hole, I think, that I'm going to say is about his desk. For one, why did they have the same desk from him from that long ago?
Yeah, that's weird.
Why did they save it? I don't get when they
give it to someone else.
Yeah. Why would you take away someone's desk and put it down? Like, was it your own personal desk? Because you need to take that home. And then they show this up-close thing of a nail. And I was like, wait, a nail? What? He has a nail on his desk?
Yeah.
And then he hangs Trudy's picture on it, which is on the...
It totally looked like it was on his desk.
Yeah. Well, and it was on the wall.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, wait, they left a hole in the wall for your Trudy picture from 12 years ago? So you're saying that your desk was in that exact same spot 12 years ago?
Yeah.
That's what he's saying, right?
He said that. It's like I never left. Monk would definitely be like, whoa, this is out of order, if it wasn't, so.
Yeah, right. But, right, so we're saying that that's the same exact desk, for sure, and then that he had the same exact nail, because his desk was in the same exact spot. So no one used his desk, and no one used his actual physical location in that room for 12 years. That spot was wide open, just waiting for his desk.
That's crazy.
That just makes no sense. Okay, I'm sorry. It makes no sense. Okay. We've talked about this. He would have totally been briefed on how to use the phone. Mm-hmm. Okay. The murderer would never have gotten away with Monk's murder because everyone was watching.
Oh, yeah.
Down below. No one would have believed that Monk would have went up on the scaffolding. So they would have known he dropped from that guy's scaffolding. This murder just makes no sense. He's literally like, wait, so your partner doesn't even know you're here? And he's like, oh, you're supposed to meet me. And he's like, okay, then I'm going to murder you. And it's like, what explanation would you possibly have for a police officer to be dropped off of a scaffolding at like 25 stories up? Someone obviously killed him. Who's the window washer? You are. Like, what kind of plan? And then he takes so long that the police do show up and then there's a crowd. And I was just like, this murder makes no sense. And he's still going, all for it. He's like rocking it back and forth. Yeah. It's like, capital murder.
Yeah.
He's no longer a police detective.
Exactly.
You know, he's no longer a consultant. He's actually a cop. Like, this just doesn't make any sense.
That was stupid. I would have knocked him out and ran. Because apparently no one saw him knock him out.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh, you're so right. And then you're right. He wakes up on the scaffolding.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you're so right. That's funny. Toby was like, how did Monk not fall through the scaffolding and then the guy falls through the scaffolding and then he like hangs there like passed out or whatever? I don't know. There was just a lot of plot holes about the whole scaffolding situation. And then, there was also a Mayflower truck in the end. Did you see the Mayflower truck? Yeah, it was sitting there. Everyone's like looking down in the street and they just have a Mayflower truck. That's so weird. What? I wonder why they do that. That's so weird.
Mayflower's real. Because, you know how they have the fake brands? But Mayflower's a real brand. So that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, exactly. And then, let's see. I think I only have... Okay, I have two more. One is mine, and then the other one is actually a viewer's voice, so I'll look it up in a sec. This one is... what doesn't make any sense is if Natalie quits to go work for whoever... Monk is good enough to not have an assistant anymore, and he works on the force and he's perfectly fine. Why does he even need an assistant at all? Why does Natalie, when she's like, I'm needed here, I'm like, but why? If Monk is good enough to be on the police force...
Someone there to watch him, I guess.
Right, and that's what you think is being needed? I'm just saying
I guess.
If Monk is good enough to have a badge and have a gun... Why does he need someone to hand him wipes? Is what I'm saying. That's just my point. Now, if you changed it to like we're partners now, like what if he said at the end, I pay $900 a week, and she says only if we're partners now, and he's like, what? And he's like, either that or pay me what you paid me before, and he's like, fine, we're partners, and she's like, okay. Or so like
that's cute.
Something like that. That would have been cute. It would be kind of like your same thing of like, hey, you ready to get out of here or whatever you said. You said it better, but it was
when they just redo the beginning scene, but instead of them saying goodbye, he's like, "You ready?"
Yeah. Like, yeah, exactly. Okay. All right, the last one is a viewer's voice. I actually thought of it, honestly. I thought of it like the same time this person like submitted it. And I was like, oh, I'll give them credit. Okay. So, Thomas, good job. He says, the episode itself is all right, but I do wish they had explained why Monk was reinstated so soon after being rejected 2 episodes before.
I was thinking the exact same thing.
We're all taking credit from Thomas. I thought of that too, Thomas. God, get on my level.
No, but seriously, it's like Mr. Monk and the Badge, but it was also like, what was the other one called?
Mr. Monk Goes Camping. It was 2 episodes
camping. So it was just like, you're not going to get reinstated. It's like, this morning we had a reinstatement hearing. Like, again.
Why?
Yeah.
Because it was also 2-1. Remember?
Time, yeah.
Against him. 2-1 against him. So, it made little to no sense why it came out of nowhere like that. So,
yeah.
But yeah. All right. Let's move on. How crazy was Monk this episode?
Plus crazy moments.
Okay, out of 10 what?
Out of 10... badge stabs.
I thought of something like that. Like, yeah, something like badge pins. Yeah, I couldn't come up with it. Okay. So what'd you say? 10 badge?
Badge stabs.
Badge stabs. Okay. I put out of 10 polished bullets. Okay, I like that one. And then out of 10 former detectives.
Aww.
Okay, so some crazy moments. This is a reference to one. Natalie says, "Is this because he mopped up the blood at that crime scene? It was an accident or whatever." So he did that. Okay. Oh, he pinches Natalie at the beginning. He's like, "Is this a dream? I think I'm dreaming." And he pinches her, and she's like, "Ow, what was that for?" It's like, "I thought you're supposed to pinch. You're supposed to pinch yourself." "Ow, I don't know. I'm just pinching." I'm so excited. Of course, we have 70 years ago. Thomas Wolfe said, "You can't go home again." We have him stacking the papers incessantly. We have Detective Monk. I'm wearing a headset. They're at the bar. And for one, he says, "Oh, this glass has a smudge on it." And then she's like, "Okay, I'll get you a new one." And the lady walks off and they're like, "Yep, that's a real woman right there." And Monk's like, "Yeah, you can tell. No Adam's apple." Oh, that's so good. He keeps picking up the shells and the guy's like, "Stop picking up the shells." And then he's like going on about him being a dirty cop or something. And he's like, "Hey, let it go." And he's like, "Okay, I'll let it go." And then he's like, "Okay, but I can't let it go." And he's like, "Monk, I said, let it go." And he's like, "All right, it's gone. It's gone." That was funny. And then he's a former detective. And then next is he's going to go home and brood or sulk. He's leaning towards brooding. He rearranges the fruit salad in the... Did you notice that? At the wake or whatever? Because they're like, he was here.
Yeah.
He rearranged a fruit salad. Okay. And then he tries to break down the door. Do you see whenever he goes to the cat lady's house?
Oh my god. He tries to break it down and then he just opens it and then pushes it.
He kicks it and then he shoulders it and then he's like, "Wait," and he turns the doorknob slowly and opens it and then he's
it's
like,
locked.
and he's like, boom, and pushes it open because he wants to kick it open. It's so cute. It's so cute. Of course, we have Joey Heatherton. He wanted Joey Heatherton and not Natalie. And then we have the former detective. So
Mr. Mink.
Okay, so out of 10 badge stabs, how crazy was Monk this episode?
Out of 10 badge stabs, I'm going to give him a 2.
Okay. Out of 10 former detectives, I also gave him a 2.
Hey! I was going to go for a 1. I was like, wait a minute.
He does some crazy things.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't do nothing, but he does enough to be on the force.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? He does enough to show you that he's quirky, but not too much to not be on the force. There you go. Yeah. He couldn't be too crazy. Mm-hmm. And then the dispatch thing was pretty cringe, though. I'm glad that it was a tip and not an emergency, because that would have been like, okay, you physically can't do this job.
Yeah.
Because you can't even have enough urgency.
There's so much blood everywhere.
Please hold. That was a good setup. We didn't even practice that. But yeah, so that would have been really bad. And I still am really glad that they didn't do anything like that. Make him unfit. They didn't make him unfit. They made him perfectly, like, fine for Monk.
His choice.
And they let him go out on his own. So we got to appreciate that. All right, final segment. Rate this episode.
Okay.
So stupid.
All right, kiddos. Out of 10 nothings, what would you rate this episode?
For those who are new, who are listening from our third to last episode, I give every Monk episode a 10 because it deserves it, and then I work up from there.
Okay.
So I'll say 10 point something, and then Noah will say what I actually mean.
I will convert.
This episode was entertaining. Okay, you don't have to tell them everything I'm saying. Just the number. Okay. This episode was entertaining.
We've heard that.
I thought you were going to say entertaining.
I was thinking about it.
In the sense that you definitely wanted to watch it and you wanted to know what was going to happen. However, it was lacking in the gang action like I talked about. And more importantly, it was a letdown in the overarching theme that Monk doesn't really get his badge back. This one is very low on the rewatchability for me.
Agreed.
I'm going with a 10.725.
Okay, so you got a 7.25?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I'm very interested.
That's extremely low for my standards.
Okay.
For my number, I crunched the numbers.
Do you have a spiel?
I calculated. I don't have a spiel. I never have a spiel.
Well, you do sometimes.
More of like the...
A ramble after you give the number?
Ramble after you give the number.
Okay, then go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm giving it a, which never before seen on the show, a 9. I've never given it a 9 this season.
This season. I was like, whoa, calm down. Never given it a 9.
No, I gave this one a 9. It was definitely lacking. I agree. We came up with a lot of different things than what this episode could have been, or should have been.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It missed the mark, but at the same time, birthday just wasn't Mr. Monk, because that's what I was gauging it. Mm-hmm. Mr. Monk.
Happy birthday, Mr. Monk.
Happy birthday, Mr. Monk was not as good as this, and I don't know. It feels like a 9 is way too high for me, but I also in the grand scheme of things, I hope it'll pan out. Because you rated it low, I rated it pretty high.
And that's, too, where it was I didn't ask, because I never really do this, ask for people to, rate the episode. I just ask for your guys' opinion. And this one, I mean, you heard the viewers' voices that we said. It was a lot of potential, or what it could have been, or just flat out plot holes of it, or... Yeah, I really didn't like that he gave it up so quickly, or that they didn't teach him how to use the phones, or someone said it was one of their least favorite, whatever.
Whoa.
So, it's one of those things. I definitely, I looked at my numbers and I placed it accordingly. I thought it was not very funny. Mm-hmm. It was, and that's the thing too, is that I don't want to judge it based on it not being funny, and it didn't have gang action. I keep calling it gang action, there's gangs or something in it, but you know what I mean. Yeah. You guys know what I mean. The gang action, and I don't want to judge it off that, but then it has to come in with the other qualities, which is storyline and crime, and the crime of the window washer and the reward thing was just
I thought it was cool.
And then the, what was the other thing? And then the storyline, this episode was based on storyline, Mr. Monk and the badge. And I thought that since I, myself, and a lot of others seemed very disappointed by this point in the storyline, that's where I was grading it off of. Let alone it had all those other things going against it. The main part is the storyline, and then that just was not good.
Yeah.
So... a lot of potential, a lot of could have beens, a lot of should have beens, or whatever. So, but yeah, that's it, guys. We only have 2 more episodes to watch.
More eppies.
And I am very excited to see the end.
This is our last normal episode.
Or normal, as in,
not the 2-parter. Not the wrap-ups.
Yeah.
Our final normal drunk time.
I don't know. I mean, I probably should just save it for the next week, but I'm excited to see the end.
Me too.
I know, overarching premise. Yeah, because I'll have watched it by the time. So yeah, I'll just go ahead and say it. I only remember watching the end once, maybe twice. Whoa. I watched it when it came out, and I feel like at some point I had to have watched it since. Yeah. I've had to have, but I just can't remember doing it. But I'm excited to see it, because I do know what happens in the sense of, like I said, the overarching, story plot lines, but I couldn't tell you scenes or quotes or nothing. I don't know what's coming. So I'm excited. And you definitely haven't seen it. So I'm excited for you.
Or maybe I am.
If you have, I will stab you right now. And Mr. Monk's going to have to solve your murder.
Oh my god. Okay, sorry.
Okay.
New episode out of Mr. Monk.
So yeah, guys, make sure that you go watch the 2-parter. Watch the first part, listen to us. Watch the second part, listen to us. And so you guys can study up on your episodes.
Goodbye.
And watch them with us.
Bye. I'm all the way over here.
Yeah.
We're fading away.
Yeah, you're still pretty loud, though, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, wait. We're fading away.
Okay, guys, we'll see you next time for Mr. Monk in the End.
Bye.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to the Junk Monk Podcast. We'd love to hear from you, so please give us a 5-star review wherever you listen to podcasts. Also, follow us at Junk Monk Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube.
If you want to know more about Kandyce, she's at Hardens and Hardhats on Instagram. And if you want to know more about me, Noah L., subscribe to my vlog, Noah Hernandez, on YouTube. Also, you can leave us a voicemail at 323-366-0477 with your questions, comments, or just to show us some love.
Don't forget to catch up on Monk with Amazon Prime Video, and of course, subscribe to our show.
You'll thank me later.